Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Ashtadhara Shri Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Seventh Canto, The Science of God, Chapter 10, Prahlad, the best among exalted devotees, text 67. Sharam Danushi Sandaya Muhurte Bijitishvaraha Dadaha Tena Durbedya Hara Ta Tripuro Nripa Sharam Danushi Sandaya Muhurte Bijatishvaraha Tadaha tena durbedya harota tripuro nripa sharam Danushi Sandaya Muhurte Bijatishvaraha Tadaha Tena Durbedya Harota Tipuro Nripa Sharam Danushi Sandaya Muhurte Bijatishvaraha Taha tena durbedya Rota tripuro nripa
Sharam danushi sandhaya Muhurte Viditishvara
Sharam, the arrows, Danushi, on the bow, Sandaya, joining together, Muhurte Abhijiti, at noon, Ishvaraha, Lord Shiva, Tadaha, set afire, Tena, by them, the arrows, Durbedyaha, very difficult to pierce, Haraha, Lord Shiva, Ata, in this way, Tripuraha, the three residences of the demons, Nripa, O King Yudhishthira. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti-vedanta Swami Prabhupada. My dear King Yudhishthira, the most powerful Lord Shiva joined the arrows to his bow, and at noon he set fire to all three residences of the demons and thus destroyed them. Text 68. Seated in their airplanes in the sky, the inhabitants of the higher planetary systems beat many kettle drums. The demigods, saints, pitas, siddhas, and various great personalities showered flowers on the head of Lord Shiva, wishing him all victory. And the apsaras began to dance, or began to chant and dance with great pleasure. O King Yudhishthira, thus Lord Shiva is known as Tripurari, the annihilator of the three dwellings of the demons. Because he burnt these dwellings to ashes, being worshipped by the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva returned to his own abode. Text 70. The Lord Sri Krishna appeared as a human being, yet he performed many uncommon and wonderful pastimes by his own potency. How can I say more about his activities than what has already been said by great saintly persons? Everyone can be purified by his activities simply by hearing about them from the right source. Purport. Bhagavad-gītā and all the Vedic literatures fully explain that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa, appears in human society as an ordinary human being, but acts very uncommonly for the well-being of the entire world. One should not be influenced by the illusory energy, and think Lord Krishna to be an ordinary human being. Those who really seek the absolute truth come to the understanding that Krishna is everything, Vasudeva Sarvamiti. Such great souls are very rare. Nonetheless, if one studies the entire Bhagavad-gītā as it is, Krishna is very easy to understand. The Krishna consciousness movement is just trying to make Krishna known all over the world as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. If people take this movement seriously, their lives as human beings will be successful. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 7th canto, 10th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Prahlad, the Best Among Exalted Devotees. Om Gyanativedandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshulanmaditamnena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Makam Kadidvachalam Pangam Langategadim Yakripatamaham Bande Shri Gunundin Taranam Ancha Kapadribishcha Kripa Sindhu Beevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 28. The title is, or the chapter is titled, Krishna is the source of all incarnations. Famous verse, Ete chamsa kalapungsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam Indriyari Vyakulam Lokam Mridyanti Yuge Yuge. Translation is, all of the above mentioned incarnations are either plenary portions or portions of the plenary portions of the Lord, but Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. All of them appear on planets whenever there's a disturbance created by atheists. The Lord incarnates to protect the theists. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada gives us further enlightenment in this regard. So I'll just read an excerpt from that purport. For example, Lord Parshuram and Lord Nrsimha displayed unusual opulence by killing the disobedient Kshatriyas 21 times and killing the greatly powerful atheist Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyakashipu was so powerful that even the demigods on other planets would tremble simply by the unfavorable raising of his eyebrow. The demigods in the higher level of material existence many times excel the most well-to-do human beings in duration of life, beauty, wealth, paraphernalia, and in all other respects. Still, they were afraid of Hiranyakashipu. Thus, we can simply imagine how powerful Hiranyakashipu was in this material world. But even Hiranyakashipu was cut into small pieces by the nails of Lord Nrsimha. This means that anyone materially powerful cannot stand the strength of the Lord's nails. Similarly, Jamagna displayed the Lord's power to kill all the disobedient kings powerfully situated in their respective states. The Lord empowered incarnation Narada and plenary incarnation Varaha, as well as indirectly empowered Lord Buddha, created faith in the mass of people. The incarnations of Ram and Dhanvantari displayed his fame, and Balaram, Mohini, and Vamana exhibited his beauty. Dattatreya, Matsya, Kurma, and Kapila exhibited his transcendental knowledge. Nara and Narayan Rishis exhibited his renunciation. So all the different incarnations of the Lord indirectly or directly manifested different features, but Lord Krishna, the primeval Lord, exhibited the complete features of Godhead. And thus it is confirmed that he is the source of all other incarnations. And the most extraordinary feature exhibited by Lord Sri Krishna was his internal, energetic manifestation of his pastimes with the cowherd girls. So Srila Prabhupada is saying that all of these different incarnations, they displayed different opulences, but Krishna displayed all of them. Therefore, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then continuing, his pastimes with the gopis are all displays of transcendental existence, bliss, and knowledge, although these are manifested apparently as sex love. The specific attraction of his pastimes with the gopis should never be misunderstood. The Bhagavatam relates these transcendental pastimes in the 10th canto, and in order to reach the position to understand the transcendental nature of Lord Krishna's pastimes with the gopis, the Bhagavatam promotes the student gradually in 9 other cantos. So to understand Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to understand the importance of surrendering to Krishna, to understand that Krishna is everything, Vasudeva Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha, is a rare thing. So it's a rare thing that someone is able to actually surrender to Krishna. Within religion, we'll criticize religion now. Within religion, we could say it's an easy thing to believe in God, or within the world. Many people believe in God. I don't know how many people. Maybe we could do a look. Maybe we could look it up. How many people believe in God? 20% of the world, 50%. And who knows if that statistic's right? But a lot of people believe in the existence of God. There's so many Christians, or there's so many Catholics and followers of Islam, and so many people believe in Krishna, right, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there's many people, Judaism, there's many people who believe in God. But then how many people actually understand the science of God? How many people actually understand God fully? Yeah, very few. And it's not so easy to understand God, and it's not so easy to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Srila Prabhupada would challenge these leaders all the time when he was meeting with them. Sometimes you wonder if, I'm kind of joking about it, but I don't know if you want to laugh or cry or wonder if what I'm saying is true, but sometimes you wonder if some of the Hare Krishna centers would invite Prabhupada as a speaker. He'd probably be too much for some people. Sometimes devotees may wonder how Srila Prabhupada would do at an interfaith meeting these days. Prabhupada was really challenging these people. It's not that he would meet with the Christian and then he would just say, oh, you're great because you believe in God and I believe in God and everything's good, but he would challenge him, why are you eating meat? And the person was shocked. Why aren't you teaching your people to be sinless? Why are you just letting them going on continuing to sin in the name of Jesus Christ? Why? And the person's shocked. No one ever asked them that before.
I think you meant sinful.
What is it?
Why aren't you teaching people to be sinless?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Why aren't you teaching them how to be sinless? How to be free from sin? So so if you look at modern leaders of religions, if you look at people's understanding, it's not so easy to understand the science of God. What to speak of surrender? Surrender is on a whole nother platform. First of all, you understand. First of all, we come to the point of understanding, and then we surrender. Without understanding, how can we surrender? That's considered like partial surrender, or it's considered informed surrender, or blind surrender, like blind faith or whatever. So you have to understand. And it's not so easy. Now, of course, Srila Prabhupada makes a point in the purport. Although it's not so easy and it's rare, he says that nonetheless, if one studies the entire Bhagavad-gītā as it is, Krishna is very easy to understand. So Prabhupada's putting a stress on Bhagavad-gītā as it is, but he's also putting a stress if one studies the entire Bhagavad-gītā, which tends to be a problem, again, amongst religious people, is that they don't study their own books. They don't study their own literature. They have no idea what the books say. I mean, how many, like for example, anyways, we heard that one of the most downloaded books on Kindle or whatever is the Bible. And it's also one of the least books read, like fully, from cover to cover. So, but it's a problem in religions in general, whether you want to talk about the Quran, or whether you want to talk about the Bible, or you want to talk about the Bhagavad-gītā. I was at a big gathering, and Shivaram Swami was there, and there was a lot of people there. It wasn't a small gathering. It wasn't like a room of 10 people or something. There was quite a lot of people. And these people were, many of them, long-time members. And he asked everybody, how many of you read the Bhagavad-gītā? Please raise your hand. And not so many people raised their hand. He was like very discouraged. And then he went on to the Bhagavatam. Some people raised their hand. And then he said, I'm not even going to ask you about the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this idea of starting something and finishing it is very important. To start from page 1, or start from the preface, introduction of Bhagavad-gītā, and to finish is very important. Same with the Bhagavatam, same with the Chaitanya Charitamrita, same with so many other books. It's important because, I mean, just like Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gītā, there is an idea of finishing our Krishna consciousness in this life, or finishing it means completing the course. We all can be unsuccessful yogis and then take birth in Laguna Beach or Maui and then see what happens. I don't know. There's no hope. There's no chance. One's going to be Krishna conscious being born in Laguna Beach or Hawaii or whatever, or anywhere really. So there's an emphasis on starting something and starting our Krishna consciousness and continuing it until we are successful. And Srila Prabhupada makes that point in relation, as we just read this excerpt from the first canto, that one should go through the first 9 cantos and then go to the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, because that is considered to be the smiling face of Krishna. That is the summum bonum, the ultimate canto, which is displaying Krishna's pastimes. And out of all those pastimes, the pastime of the Rasa Lila is considered the crest jewel of all pastimes. So although it is said we should go through the 9 cantos, still Srila Prabhupada, he gave us Krishna book, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For short, we call it Krishna book. And he wanted us to read that regularly, daily, every night, and distribute it. Mass distribute. It's a mass distribution book. Prabhupada, first he said, go through the 9 cantos and then make it to the 10th canto, and then he wrote Krishna book and he said, mass distribute it. It's amazing, actually. But the idea is that, as it's being stated in the verse here, or the last verse we read, everyone can be purified by his activities, Krishna's activities, simply by hearing about them from the right source. So, if we hear about Rasa Lila, if we hear about the gopis and Krishna from the right source, then we become purified, our heart becomes purified. And Srila Prabhupada wanted us to hear about these things. I mean, if you want to join the Hare Krishna movement, it's there. I mean, you can't get around it. It's in the 10th canto. It's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. What to speak of all the literature of the Goswamis, Rupa Goswami. I mean, Vidagdha Madhava, Lalita Madhava. There's so many of these books, Ujjvala Nilamani, some of these books, they are full of details and the activities of Krishna's pastimes with the gopis. And as much as they may seem to be mundane boy and girl activities, sexual boy and girl activities, they are completely transcendental and they purify one's heart. So Srila Prabhupada expected us to be able to digest such topics over time. He established Radha Krishna deities. He gave us the 10th canto. He gave us Krishna book. He wanted us to read the books of the previous acharyas. And the 10th canto describes that there in the last verse. This is chapter 33 of the 10th canto, Rasa dance. So there's a verse at the end that anyone who faithfully hears or describes the Lord's playful affairs with the young gopis of Vrindavan will attain the Lord's pure devotional service. Thus he will quickly become sober and conquer lust, the disease of the heart. So this is a commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Srila Prabhupada didn't comment on this verse in the 10th canto. He didn't make it to that point. Some of his disciples did, Hridayananda Goswami. But we could read this short purport of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He says, one who hears and chants about Krishna's Rasa Lila, which is the crest jewel of all pastimes, gets the crest jewel of all results, namely, Krishna Prem. One who continuously hears, glorifies, or writes poetry about this Rasa Lila and similar pastimes of Krishna described by other poets, first of all, even if he has the heart disease and material lust, becomes imbued with Prem. Then, by its effect, the disease of the heart is destroyed. Thus it is understood here that this Prem is independent. It is not weak or dependent like Jnana Yoga. Here, Kamam Hrid Rogam refers to the heart disease of material lust. When the word is used in relation to Krishna, however, this meaning is excluded. In relation to Krishna, Kamam is prema, pure love. And it has the opposite effect of material lust, kamam. So if one thinks about, if one thinks about satisfying one's lusty propensities, or one thinks about whatever mundane love, or not love, lust, then their desires will increase. In other words, you meditate on sense gratification, then the desires increase. You meditate on Krishna, Radha Krishna's pastimes, then the desires decrease. One becomes free from lust. And this freedom from lust is one of the things that is very important to conquer. And we should understand it's completely based on illusion. Like Kevin, he sent me this. He's probably not listening. He's probably driving Uber right now, and he's going to come and have breakfast. But we could tell him later I used some of his material in the class. But he sent a picture of a horse. I don't know how much a horse weighs. Anyone know? 1,500 pounds. Okay. Yeah. So let's say a general horse, 1,500 pounds. Now, there was a horse. Or he sent a picture of a horse that was chained to a plastic chair. But somehow the horse was thinking, "Hey, I can't." Now, whether it's made up or whatever, I don't know. Who knows? You know, if the horse was really not moving on that basis, but the point was it was just based on illusion. The horse can move that chair. So similarly, whatever binding force we feel that, or whatever chains that are attached to us, that are chaining us to the bodily concept of life, it's like that. It's just it's illusion. I mean, it's a strong illusion, but it's an illusion and can be cut easily. So, and this is one particular way that's being mentioned by meditating on Radha Krishna, which that's our tradition. So the last purport: one who faithfully hears and glorifies Krishna's Rasa dance is described as learned, Dhira Pandita, for he does not foolishly doubt. How can Krishna Prem appear if material lust is present? Krishna Prem will definitely appear in that person who is devoid of foolishness. And one who accepts the statements of Scripture with full faith. However, Krishna Prem will not appear within those who have no faith in Krishna or who offend Krishna's holy name. And then he makes this comparison. It's a beautiful comparison. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he has many beautiful analogies he uses throughout his commentaries in the 10th canto. Everyone should, as soon as possible, I mean, of course, make your way, or if one should first read the 9 cantos and then the 10th canto, but it's a very beautiful commentary. One should read it as soon as possible. But he says, the divine Rasa Lila is like the loving smile of the intimate devotee of Krishna, who is victorious and glorified for his ability to conquer Krishna by his pure love. Very beautiful. So Srila Prabhupada's mission, as he mentions in the purport, the purport, the Krishna conscious movement is just trying to make Krishna known all over the world as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam. So that's Srila Prabhupada's mission, to establish Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or to make that known to people. And if people take this movement seriously, their lives as human beings will be successful, so they will attain all success. All right, does anybody have a question or comment? Yes.
I'm not going to try to read all this because a lot of it you covered, but you should know that in the Krishna book, at the very end of the Rasa dance, Prabhupada is quoting Vishwanath Chakravarti. In other words, that he's giving the same thing. And this famous verse, Vikridatam Vidivadu Viditam to Vishnu, about curing the disease of lust. So it's all in here. Prabhupada left it, didn't leave anything out.
Yeah.
And he keeps warning again and again, don't hear from the material, don't hear from the Mayavadis.
Yeah.
If you hear from the devotees, just read Krishna book, then you can cure the disease of lust.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Srila Prabhupada's summary study of the 10th canto, I mean, he didn't leave a lot out. I mean, he really, it's practically verse by verse translation. Same with Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. If you read Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Long Nectar of Devotion, it's a nice meditation. It's a nice thing to do, because then you could see how Srila Prabhupada translated Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. But he also didn't leave a lot out. I mean, of course, Srila Prabhupada emphasized certain things, didn't emphasize certain things, but
Hare Krishna. I guess the question I would ask, would you recommend also reading the 9 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam before the Krishna book?
I don't think so. Could read Krishna book.
There was maybe some of you may not know this, or maybe most of you don't know, but early on in early 70s, the ashram in Boston Temple was quite lively. There were a lot of brahmacharis there and going out, and so I think the temple president wrote Prabhupada and said, they're wondering what can we do to try to overcome the sex desire, which is kind of impeding our Krishna consciousness. Said, okay, Prabhupada said, before you take rest, every night, you read the Rasa dance chapter of the Krishna book.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, that was Prabhupada's recommendation.
Oh.
And if you read it, you'll find so many. First of all, because when I actually worked on the 10th canto, in back in Miami, we found that Prabhupada had very carefully translated a lot of the preliminary commentaries in the beginning of the different varieties of devotees who were graduating or who was taking part in the Rasa dance and all kinds of things. So Prabhupada presented it in such a way that it's fine for anyone to read, really, but especially practicing devotees. There's no danger of losing your way in the Krishna book and getting taken away, because it's all very carefully presented, and so that's what he said. What happened was that what I understand is that Prabhupada, the movement is taking off. Prabhupada is doing his Bhagavatam translation in L.A., and the devotees are going out and they're chanting and dancing and it's going great. But then he realized they don't really know much about Krishna Lila. They just didn't have any exposure. So he stopped everything and he dictated the Krishna book for months, and it's because of that, and is giving us the nectar of instruction, the nectar of devotion, and that he didn't finish the Bhagavatam, because he had to stop that to do that. But so I just wanted to do that vignette because Prabhupada saw the power of the Krishna book as the way he presented it, which was perfectly.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada wrote it in such a way that people cannot. It's very difficult for people to get the wrong idea, and a lot of times in the Krishna book, Krishna or Srila Prabhupada would say Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Personality. So you can't forget he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead when you read Krishna book. It's a good title actually, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because you just can't forget. Prabhupada doesn't makes it very difficult to forget that. Whereas other books from our previous acharyas, it's not that it's a fault on their part, but they present it in a particular way. Mostly, actually, there's books that exist for different levels of devotees. There's books for beginners, there's books for different levels of devotees. So some of the books that our acharyas left, they don't write them like Srila Prabhupada wrote his Krishna book. It's accepted, okay, people realize that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and they don't need to be constantly reminded. So, therefore they may not even they may use more less, they may use less formal terms for Krishna or for Srimati Radharani. Srila Prabhupada would always say Srimati Radharani, Srimati Radharani, Srimati Radharani. Whereas these other books, maybe they use Radhika or they use Krishna Kanai or whatever it may be. So, does anyone have any other?
I was going to say, I like that example of Kevin's picture. And you were saying you couldn't tell for sure if it was real or not. And I think it might be real because, I mean, yeah, a plastic lawn chair, that's maybe especially surprising, but it's quite common that, and the analogy works like really well. It's actually works really thoroughly as an analogy, because part of what makes that work is that, what would you call it? Like animals that are going to be used for animal husbandry, like, you know, and you know, riding and plowing and so on, they have to be taught really young that, you know, a halter means you can't move. And so when they're young and they aren't very strong, then you put a rope, you use a rope, and then you teach them that they can't do anything about it. You know, they're too weak to pull, even from like a human. And so then quickly they realize that, okay, rope's on, that means I can't do anything. I just need to listen to the rope. And so then when they're older, even though they could be like 2,000 pounds, you know, and they're stronger than any human, they could like even like break, you know, pull apart, you know, a
Yeah, I
fence.
got a rope on me, I can't move.
But yeah, but they're used to that. Then they have the rope and they think, I've tried this before, I've tried it again and again and again, you know, and the rope means I can't do anything. And so it's really effective analogy. So even when once one has the strength, still think, oh, there's no use trying. Actually, I've tried it before.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, confirmation. One thing I'll just end with is that last night at Kṛṣṇa Lounge in Chula Vista, a number of people, new people showed up. A couple that Sankarshan or Sunny met out distributing prasadam. Very nice couple. Pretty sharp guy. His name was Matt. He said, "Oh, my name's Matt, but you know, some people call me Yoga Matt." So he said that a couple times, and he made a few other puns. You know, kind of interesting guy. At the end of the program, he said, "Yeah, I mean, this is like." I'm really feeling an anti-cult vibe here. I was like, okay, well, interesting, you know. I never heard anybody say that before, anti-cult vibe. And he's like, but, you know, I don't know. I mean, I was thinking about it. If Sonny was to start a cult, I'd probably just follow him, you know. He's such a nice guy. Sankarshan. And anyways, but yeah, nice couple. Then there's another 3 people came. Grandmother, mother, and daughter, and anyways, they met a devotee at Balboa Park. We were trying to figure out who that was. They lived in Spring Valley. They live in Spring Valley, so I was wondering if it was Dvijamani Govardhan. Yeah, so we found out who it was. But in the talk last night, I was mentioning how when I first came to the temple, I was impressed by the devotees' sincerity and their seriousness and practicing, and I was convinced that because of that sincerity, they had a big impact on me, and therefore I was able to get some access to Krishna consciousness and to chanting and to having some experience in kirtan and so on. Because after all, right, Sanatana Goswami says if you hear kirtan from a non-devotee, it's like milk touched by the lips of a serpent. It doesn't have a real effect. But if you hear from a devotee, it has a poisonous, it doesn't have a good effect, it has a poisonous effect. But if you hear from a devotee, then it has an impact. So I was explaining that, and then the daughter, she said, yeah, you know, it's interesting you said that because I felt the same thing. She says, I was at Balboa Park and I met this person. I mean, he didn't say much to me. He just said, here's the books and this is what they're about. She said he didn't say much, but she said, I just felt he was I was so impressed by him. And he had such an aura about him and he was so convinced and so passionate about this. I was thinking, hey, well, if he's so convinced and passionate, I better go, you know, figure out what it is.
And after all that, you couldn't figure out who he met.
Well, she said it was an older man, so So we're thinking, oh, maybe Vijay. But then we described Vijay, and they said, no, it wasn't Vijay, but it was Yamunapati. Yeah, so they were, Yamunapati Prabhu was convincing them out there, so they came. So, yeah, those are some.
For a few days to go to the dentist. And he just spontaneously said to me, oh, that Yamunapati, you know, he's such a friendly guy, such an effective, such a pleasant personality, you know.
Oh, yeah, he was saying that.
So
Okay.
he was seeing how he was interacting out there.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so yeah, Sankarshan, those people came from Sankarshan, and those other people came from Yamunapati, and mostly it was due to their personality, or their shining forth. Okay. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki